Yes, welcome back to MOG Economics YouTube channel. We were talking about game theory. My plan was to start sequential games in the previous lesson, but then we're running out of time, so I had to end it, and then we are going to talk about it like fully in this particular video. So we have a normal form game on the board. Two players, Damola and Grace. So they have two strategies. So each of them is to choose between buying a movie ticket and buying a football ticket. Now, if Grace buys a movie ticket and Damola buys a movie ticket also, then Grace gets a payoff of two, Damola gets a payoff of three. Then if Grace buys a movie ticket and Damola buys a football ticket, Grace gets zero, Damola gets zero. Then if Grace buys a football ticket and if Grace buys a football ticket and Damola buys a movie ticket, so they are going to have equal payoffs 1-1. Then if Grace buys a football ticket, she gets a three. If Damola buys a football ticket as well, so where Damola is going to get a two. So looking at this, let me just quickly talk about sequential games. So okay, sequential games or sequential game, otherwise known as dynamic game, is the type of game where the game perfect Nash equilibrium, that's called the SPNE, right, or SPE for some textbooks, depends on the players who move first, like the players who take the first action. So unlike normal form game that we just do it, and then we get a Nash equilibrium. For this particular game, it's not like that. So if Mr. A moves first, the outcome of that game will likely be different than if Mr. B or from if Mr. B moves first. So that's the kind of thing I want to do here, for real. But then before we get to that point, so looking at this, what's are the dominant strategies for both players? So we come for Grace. If Grace were to buy a movie tickets over Grace, Grace has the choice between let me call it movie tickets and football tickets, MT and FT. So Grace can get, I told you from the previous slide that the first payoff here, 2-0-1-1, belong to whoever is on this side. So I'm going to have two here and zero here, one here, and three here. So if you look at it, two is better than one, but zero is not better than three. So buying a movie ticket is not entirely better than buying a football ticket. Now, the same thing for football tickets. One is inferior to two, but three is better than zero. So there's no dominant strategy here. Right? And we can't say there's strictly dominated strategy too. So it's just like draw, like a draw. So Grace doesn't have a dominant strategy. How about Damola? So for Damola strategies are arranged this way. Damola can choose to buy a movie ticket or a football ticket. So if Damola buys a movie ticket, she can get 3, 1, then 0, 2. Same thing. 3 is better than 0, but 1 is inferior to 2. No dominant strategy. Or if she decides to buy the football ticket, 0 is inferior to 3, or 2 is better than 1. So there is no dominant strategy for the two of them, no dominant strategies. So no dominant strategy. I'll sum a bit of anyway. Strategy for both of them. Strategies for both of them. So next thing is we should determine our Nash equilibrium. So that's pretty simple. You guys are used to it at this point. If Grace buys movie ticket, so we don't care about 2 and 0. So between 3 and 0, these guys, Damola will pick 3. If Grace buys a football ticket between 1 and 3, as if it's not there, these guys have to choose between 2 and 1. So 2 is better, right? So we are done. Now, if Damola decides to buy a movie ticket this way, so this guy can choose, this guy is going to choose 2, 2 is better than 1. If Damola decides to buy a football ticket, this guy will choose 3. So this is an example of Nash equilibria. So we have two Nash equilibria in this particular question. So, of course, buy a movie where both of them should buy a movie ticket, or where both of them should buy a football ticket. So that's the Nash. That's the Nash equilibria. So the next question here says, is this an example of a prisoner's dilemma? Well, the no, like that's the first thing, no, right? So why is it no? So it is no because neither of the players have dominant strategies. Like for it to have a Nash equilibrium, for it to have a prisoner's dilemma, there must be a dominant strategy. What you've chosen to do, regardless of what the other person is going to do. All right. So, but since we are having two Nash equilibria and there is no dominant strategy from what we've done here, So this is not a prisoner's dilemma. So additionally, if you recall, for prisoner's dilemma, there should be a different Nash equilibrium that is better than the equilibrium resulting from the game, the interactions of the players. But if you check this place now, right, these two Nash equilibria are better than 0, 0, and 1, 1. So for prisoner's dilemma, like a different option there should be better than what Nash equilibrium is. But here, the Nash equilibria are better than the other, payoffs. So those are the two reasons why this is not an example of a prisoner's dilemma game. Right. So again, is this game an example of a prisoner's dilemma? No. That's the first answer. No, because there's going to be a mark for that. Then explain or why. I'll say the reason. This is because neither of the players have a dominant strategy, and the Nash equilibrium that resulting from this game is better than the remaining payoffs of the game. So which is not supposed to be so if it were a prisoner's, dilemma. So you can see it is even where they are cooperating, like to do the same thing, and they are getting the higher, payoffs. For prisoner's dilemma, they don't cooperate. You understand? If they are cooperated, they would have gotten something better. But here, they're already cooperating, right? So I believe you understand that. So what we really want to go to is this question I want to talk about now. So the question says, if Grace moves first and Damola knows that and Damola knows that Grace moved first. Like if Grace moves first and Grace knows that Damola knows that she has moved first. You understand? So what then would be the equilibrium of this game? So if Grace is the one that is moving first, what will be the equilibrium of this game? And then if Damola is the one that is moving first, what there will still be the equilibrium of this game? So are we going to be having something that we have like here, or are we going to be having something different? So let's dive into that. Guys, what I'm going to do here is not magic, but I want us to like pay attention. So if Grace is the one that's moving first, so we have Grace. Okay, we have Grace. So Grace can choose to do two things. Let's say one of two things. As strategies, she can decide to buy a movie ticket, and then she can decide to buy a football ticket. That's clear, right? So if Grace decides to buy a movie ticket, then Damola can do two things. So we have Damola here. Damola can decide to also buy a movie ticket or to buy a football ticket. Here, this is still Damola. If Grace decides to buy a football ticket, Damola can decide to buy a movie ticket and a football ticket. So I believe this is clear, right? So Grace has two strategies. She's the one that's moving first. So she might decide to, you know, go for buy the movie ticket or buy the football ticket. So immediately she does this, right? Remember that I said sequential games, like the players, the second player would know, like he's has some information that the first player has done something, right? The second player may not necessarily know what the first player has done, but he or she knows that the first player has done something, like the first player has moved, like the first move has taking one strategy, and then it's going to react to that. It's going to like work based on that. So if Grace decides to like buy a movie ticket, Damola can either buy a movie ticket too or a football ticket. If Grace decides to buy a football ticket, Damola can buy a movie ticket or a football ticket. So let's design their playoffs. If Grace buys a movie ticket and Damola buys a movie ticket as well, so because Grace is the first mover, the payoffs, Grace's payoff is going to come first before Damola's own. So Grace, movie ticket. So from there, if both of them are buying movie tickets, you have this is Grace. Grace gets a 2, Damola gets a 3. So we have 2 for Grace, 3 for Damola. We're done. If Grace buys a movie ticket and Damola buys a football ticket, Grace is still buying a movie ticket and Damola is buying a football ticket. So 0, 0, 0, 0. And here, Grace buys a football ticket. What is it? Grace buys a football ticket and Damola buys a movie ticket. Football ticket, movie ticket, 1, 1. And here, football ticket. So Grace is gonna get 3, 2. So how then do we get the equilibrium? Because that's what the question said. Right, so I'm going to design something to make this thing very easy for you to understand. So I'll call this point A or node A. I'm going to call this node B. All right, so the process that is used to get the subgame of Nash equilibrium is what we call the backward induction. Backward induction. Backward. So how does this work? Right? We are going to start from the last mover. So we're not starting from the first mover. So we are going to be starting from Damola instead of us starting from Grace. And then we'll be moving backwards. All right. So how do we do that? Now, down if this game if this game ends up at point A, right? That where Grace has already done something, she has already like bought movie tickets. Damola is not sure if that was what Grace really did, but then Damola knows, right, that Grace has moved. Do you understand? So what will be Damola's response, right? If Grace has done this. So at this point of the game, so if the game ends up here as point A, so what is Damola going to do? So remember that this payoff, this 3 and 0 is for Damola. So between 3 and 0, Damola will prefer, being a rational person that wants to maximize his benefit, Damola is going to pick 3, right? Because 3 is better than 0. Now, that's that about that. What if the game ends up at point B? Let's say it didn't end here, so the game just went towards the side. That is, Grace chose to buy a football ticket. What would Damola do? So Damola could respond, by um, also buying a movie ticket or like buying a football ticket. I should have written empty here and empty there, but it's okay. It's okay. So between 2 and 1, which one Damola pick? Damola being a rational person that wants to maximize, her welfare or her benefits, Damola is going to choose 2. Alright, so then that's it. So here, the way backward induction is done, like I said earlier, you start from the second player, or you start from the last player, then you begin to work it back up. So if the game ends here, like Grace has moved, the game ends here, what Damola just has to do is to compare her payoffs, which one is higher. So she's gonna get a 3 here, so you get 0 here, so she goes for this. That means she's also going to buy a movie ticket. But if the game ends here, like the way the game is moving, if it ends at this point, and then she has to decide, then between 1 and 2, Damola is going to pick 2. So that's it. So we are trying to work our way back up. Now since Damola has chosen a way, to respond to this. So what then will Grace do? Remember that um, all of these parts is Grace buying a movie ticket. Movie tickets. Um, I believe you understand what I'm saying. And all of these parts is Grace buying a football ticket. So Grace is also a rational person who wants to maximize, her benefits. So Grace will now look at it. If Grace will look at it like, okay, if I go this way, you're not going to get like the better payoff. So Grace is considering movie tickets based on the 2 ways this guys can respond. So where will Grace get the higher payoff if it's choosing to buy the movie tickets regardless of what this other person does? So there is 2 here. Payoff for Grace, that's if the owner also buys a movie ticket. Then there is 0 here for Grace if the owner buys a football ticket. So Grace, obviously will prefer 2, right? So like we keep that somewhere. Okay, let me just put a dot on it, keep that somewhere. We're trying to work out the equilibrium. So we come to that side. So Damola has done something, right? Working it back up. If Grace decides to buy a movie ticket, like what kind of outcomes can she get? What kind of payoff can she get? She can either get a 1 or a 3, right? So if she buys a movie ticket and Damola ends up buying a movie ticket too, football rather, Grace is going to get a 3 here. But remember that the payoff that she can get, like the best payoff that she can get if she chooses strategy is 2. But the best one she can get if she chooses this strategy is 3. Being a rational person, what Grace is going to do, Grace will pick 3. Grace will pick 3, right? And so that ends up being the equilibrium of this game. Alright, so that's just what Grace is going to do. So now let's work it again in case it is confusing. Um, erase the old thing. Erase the old thing. So let's work it up again. So I said I think you must you probably understand how we got to this payoffs. That's not a difficult one. Um, so what I'm saying is work the whole thing back up, right? If the game ends at point A, like that's a simple way to like interpret it. If the game ends at point A, the way the game is going, it's at point A. What will Damola do? Damola will consider her options between also buying a movie ticket and buying a football ticket. So what she's going to do is she compares her own payoffs. Right? So she can get a 3 if she buys a movie ticket. She can get a 0 if she buys a movie ticket. So of course she's rational. She's going to go for 3. Right? Because 3 as a payoff is better. Now, if the game, let's say we don't have A, so if the game ends up at point B, for example, right, where Grace is buying a football ticket, she has already moved, right? Or she has done something, right? So at point B, what would Damola do? What would be Damola's response? So Damola will compare her payoffs to if she buys a movie ticket, she's going to get a 1, yeah? Then she's going to get a 2 in this space. 2 is better than 1, so she will prefer to go with 2. So that's it. So she's comparing this against this against this. That's all. So now that she's through, Grace is also a rational person. So Grace knows that Damola knows that she knows that Damola knows, or something like that. So what will Grace do? If Grace is choosing to buy a movie ticket, like this is a movie ticket. Now Damola has considered, like Damola has two other strategies like to consider, which has been considered. So based on those strategies, Grace can get two possible reward. Now she can get a 2, right? That's if Damola also buys a movie ticket, but she can get a 0. 2 is better than 0, right? So temporarily we are not done. She goes with 2, like she would prefer 2 to 0. Now the other part, if Grace buys a football ticket, right? Based on and then appear us based on what Damola is going to do. Where we should get the higher reward. Now, this is reward. This is 1 for Grace. This is 3. So Grace will look at. She will consider 3. Now 3. The payoff here, like the better payoff here, is better than the better payoff in this place. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. So the better payoff here is 2, like 2 and 0. So pick 2. But 3 is the better payoff here. 3 is better than 1. But then overall, right? 3 is better than the 2 that is here. So that is why she's also going to pick 3. So our equilibrium is here. So the equilibrium where Grace is the first mover is for both of them to buy football tickets. So there, Grace gets a payoff of 3, and then Damola gets a payoff of 2. So that's it. Now let us work it all over again when where Damola is the first mover. Like, will the answer be different or not? Let's check. In this case, Damola is moving first. So we have Damola. She can do 2 things. So Damola could she would buy a movie ticket, she could buy a movie ticket, she could buy a football ticket, right? And based on that, Grace could respond by buying a movie ticket as well, by buying a movie ticket and buying a football ticket, or buy a movie ticket here and buy a football ticket here. So let us gather their payoffs. If the owner is buying a movie ticket and Grace is buying a movie ticket, so where do we have that? Movie ticket, movie ticket. So remember that Damola is moving first, and this is the payoff for Damola 3. 3 comes first, so we have to write it that way. So 3, comma 2. I believe it's clear. So if Damola buys a movie ticket and Grace buys a movie ticket, Damola is the first mover, so our payoff is written first. 3 first, then followed by 2. Alright, then the next one, if Damola is buying a movie ticket and Grace is buying a football ticket, where is Damola? Damola is buying a movie ticket, Grace is buying a football ticket, so they both get 1 1. Now, if Damola is buying a football ticket, and Grace is buying a movie ticket, so football ticket is 0, then Grace 0. So we have 0 and 0. And here, if Damola is buying a football ticket, and Grace also buying a football ticket, Damola's payoff is this 2 here, and Grace's is 3. So 2, 3. Alright, so what do we do? The same thing that we did that time. So I'll call this node like node C, or this one node D. So if the game should end, like the way the game is moving, it ended at point C, right? So what would Grace do? Grace will compare a payoff. Remember that these 2 and 1 represents the payoff for Grace. Damola is the first mover. first numbers represent our own payoff. So between 2 and 1, what will Grace pick? Grace will pick 2, as she's a rational person, right? Then, if the game ends at point D, like it didn't come this way, like it went the other way, game ends at point D, what would Grace pick? Now, Grace has a choice to pick between 0 and 3, so she goes with 3. Now, um, Grace has done something, so backward induction again. So the owner will now be like, okay, what should I do? Like, what's going to give me the best reward, possible? So Damola is considering buying a movie ticket. If she buys a movie ticket, based on this payoff and based on what Grace has done, she can get either 3 or 1. So temporarily, 3. 3 is better than 1, right? Now, if you are looking at the other part where she decides to buy a football ticket eventually, she has the choice between zero and 2 here, right? But then remember, I said the overall consideration is the better payoff here. Is it as good as the better payoff here? So the better payoff for Damola in this place is 3, right? The better payoff for Damola here is 2. But then you want to maximize your welfare. 3 is better than 2, so Damola ends up here picking 3. So first, like you kind of consider like the particular um, better options. Then your conclusion is now based on the overall general conclusion. So let me put it again this way. So you understand I go 2 and 3. That's fine. So I said if the owner decides to eventually go with buying a movie ticket based on what Grace has done, she's going to get payoff of either 3 or 1, depending on what Grace is doing. So she goes for 3. I don't underline it yet. I just kind of identified it. Now in this place too, if he decides to go for football ticket eventually, now based on what Grace has done, the owner could either get a 0 or a 2. So 2 is the better option there. Now what she's going to do is she will now compares overall options. So overall, 2 is not as good as 3. So she's going to come back here and pick 3. So this then happens to be the equilibrium. So the equilibrium is where both of them buy movie tickets. So where the payoff for Damola is 3 and the payoff for Grace is 2. If you remember the one that we did before, it was where they both bought the football ticket. And if you remember from the normal form game, we got 2 Nash equilibra, right? So the 2 Nash equilibra are what we are eventually getting again. So one of it was what we got when Grace was the first mover. And the second Nash equilibra is what we are getting here, where Damola is the first mover. So at the end of the day, the subgame perfect Nash equilibrium happens to be like one of the Nash equilibria that we got, from the normal form game, like from that table that we drew initially. So yeah, that is it. So I believe that by now, that this is pretty much understandable. So there's one more that's I I don't know. I think I should just put this as an assignment. So this is our assignment. Determine the equilibrium of the game below. Lafarge has 2 strategies: in and out. Then, if it comes in, Dangote response, and if it is out, then of course the game ends there. If Lafarge never comes in, then the game ends. I don't know. I just feel like let's just do it together, like instead of giving us as an assignment. So you prefer that, and we should just solve it together. Okay, it's fine. So let's quickly look at this. Using backward induction again. So Dangote, like it's the second mover here, so it can choose to engage in a price war or to accommodate Lafarge if Lafarge decides to come in, right? Then if Lafarge stays out, so there's no game again, like the game has ended, so there's nothing else. So looking at this, starting from Dangote, if Dangote chooses a price war, okay, remember Dangote is the second guy, and so his benefit is between -10 and 20. -10 and 20. So he's going to pick 20, obviously. Like 20 is more than -10, right? And that's it. Then what else? If he stays out, if Lafarge is staying out, Dangote is going to enjoy like the whole thing, the whole 40. Right. So let's. How about Lafarge? Okay. So we've spoken about this. That Dangote is definitely going to accommodate Lafarge if Lafarge should ever try to come in based on what is there. So because Okay, whatever. Like I'm saying that the game is at, let me call it like at point A. So before that point, so what would Lafarge do? So if Lafarge comes in and Dangote starts a price war, so that Lafarge is gonna get a minus 10. If Lafarge comes in and Dangote accommodates it, right? Lafarge is going to be here, here. Remember that what we used to do for the first mover is like the overall solution, right? Then you have to consider the out. If Lafarge should stay out, right? Lafarge is only gonna get zero. It's gonna get zero. It's gonna get zero. 20 is better than zero. So this is equilibrium. So where Lafarge comes in and then Dangote accommodates it. So again, um, the game is at this point. Dangote has to respond. Lafarge has moved, right? Dangote may not be sure what Lafarge has done, but like Lafarge has moved. So here it can either choose to engage in price or accommodate Lafarge. If it engages in price, so both of them will be hurting each other, right? They'll just be losing money up and down. So they are both going to get minus 10, minus 10. So Dangote will look at it. Okay, minus 10, minus 10. Okay, fine. What if I accommodate this guy? I'm going to get 20, 20. 20 here is better than minus 10 in this place. So, okay, well, let me just accommodate him and then get a 20. Fine. So that's it. But for Lafarge has to look at the overall considerations. He also has to compare his two strategies. Dangote has compared his two strategies, like price war and accommodate, right? So Lafarge has to compare in and then out. So if Lafarge chooses to go in to this market, it can get a minus 10, or it can get a 20. So let me just put a dot. It can get a 20. And if it decides to stay out, like here, so that means if the game were here, at this point, so B decides to stay out, no problem. It's only going to get a 0. So then look at it overall. Which one is better? 20 is better than 0 overall, so 20 here. And that is why this whole thing is the equilibrium. So the equilibrium is occurring where Lafarge is coming in and Dangote is accommodating it. So yeah, with that we've done the assignment together. So I just thought I should do, since I didn't do something like this as part of the examples. So yeah, that's it. For student registered with us, we'll find the assignments like on a regular basis. And yeah, that'll be all for now. Thank you so much for attending this lesson. See you when I see you again.